Almost live. How are we doing tonight? Just waiting for the system to let me know that we are live. And we are live. All right. So we're going to talk about the best way to eat, the best foods to eat more specifically, and how avoiding healthcare entirely are the best two modalities for improving the health of the planet. And we're going to draw upon evidence, not just hearsay. I'm going to share with you some recently published papers. I'm working on a new book, and I want to share with you, as things arise with the book and so forth and the research that I'm doing, share with you little nuggets that will help you, because we have conversations all the time with friends and family and peers about what the best diet is for the planet, or you should eat this way to minimize the exposure of greenhouse gases to the environment and affect climate change and all this. And I want to share with you some pretty compelling evidence that going on a plant-based diet is in fact not the sine qua non or the best way to improve the health of your planet and your own health. And we're also going to talk about how avoiding healthcare altogether or reducing your dependence on healthcare is one of the best things that you can actually do for the planet. Now, I'm not saying not ever go to a doctor again. I'm not saying that, but becoming the healthiest version of yourself. This is actually a quote from a Harvard professor suggesting that one of the best things that we can do for the planet is actually avoiding healthcare altogether, because it turns out that more than 20% of U.S. greenhouse gases come from the healthcare system. And that includes the supply chains, all of the medical devices and the PPE and gowning and all of these different things. So friends, if you're here right now live, please hit that like button. Let me know where you're watching this from. Very grateful that you're tuning in live. If you have a friend that may enjoy this, please share this video with them so that they get access to this live. It's been a couple weeks since we've done these lives because my daughter has been in the postseason with track. We went to nationals, been very busy there, which I will share with you more details on that later. So let's get right into it. I was diving into this study. This is a narrative review, and we're going to actually share with you, you can see on the screenshot, I'm sorry, on this side, here we go, right, oh, this is tough, right there, okay, I got to point to that side, I'm used to having things on the other side. You can see the greenhouse gas emissions between feedlot beef, meat alternatives, and pasture-grazed beef, and you can see here, what's unique about pasture-raised animals is they actually sequester environmental carbon back into the soil. And that's what's really unique here. So you actually see it's a net negative, meaning it's the pasture-raised animals are sequestering greenhouse gases back into the soil and improving the health of the soil. Now, you're not hearing a lot about this. You're hearing so much about how meat products and animal products are contributing to climate change and how we should avoid meat and so forth, but you're not hearing about the benefits of grass-fed cattle. Now, I think that's quite interesting. And then we're also going to dive into the environmental impacts of healthcare. Now, this is a paper. You're not going to be able to see this because my camera is in a different spot. The title of this analysis is The Environmental Footprint of Healthcare, a Global Assessment, talking about how the reliance on modern healthcare, many people are going to doctor's visits all the time for their chronic diseases, which, by the way, are preventable through diet and lifestyle change. Now, it's very interesting that is not part of the climate change conversation, although it should be, and that is that preventing the presence of chronic diseases is probably the best thing that you can do for the planet, and it's also the best thing that you can do for your health. So we're going to dive into it. Let's get into it. Again, if you're enjoying this content, hit that like button, and please let me know where you're viewing this from. That really, really helps. Okay, so here we go. You can see this screen, and I'm gonna actually get rid of this layer here. I know it looks really messy right now. Okay, we should be good there. Let me just check my I'm gonna check my phone, make sure everything's good, and we are going to continue to dive into this, my friends. So again, if you're enjoying the content, hit that like button. I'm gonna check. Okay, it looks like we are a little bit better there. I know it's a little bit messy. So let's first talk about how your food choices impact the planet. And this is, again, paradoxical. Most people are saying that you must go on a plant-based diet to save the planet, and all animal products are really, really unhealthy and bad for the planet and your own health and things like that. This is a wonderful paper. Please download this. I will update the show notes so that you can get access to this. The title of this is Plant-Based Meats, Human Health, and Climate Change. And we're going to scroll on down. Of course, we have all sorts of different types of meat alternatives. There's the Impossible Burger, Beyond Burger. There's soy-based burgers, artificial chicken, and beyond. And the common wisdom is that these are much better alternatives than a grass-fed burger. Because, of course, the soy, the pea, the canola-based burgers and things, they are associated with reduced carbon emissions when you compare that to feedlot beef. Now, the thing that you need to consider is not many people are promoting the consumption of feedlot beef. Many of us recognize that feedlot animals are part of the problem. It's probably better to eat feedlot beef than ultra-processed junk food. I mean, that's inarguable. If the choice is Doritos or feedlot beef is going to be the win all day long. But an even better solution long-term is going to be regenerative grazed cattle. Now, why is that? As I mentioned, because these cattle sequester carbon from the environment back into the soil. And this is what humans have been doing forever, is using ruminants in conjunction with agriculture to improve the soil ecology and the production and the yield of crops, and also create great protein sources for the farmers and the ranchers. And so it turns out that there's different mechanisms here. Now, as they talk about here, Beyond Burger demonstrates a smaller carbon footprint than feedlot cattle and things like that. But they say, while meat alternatives may have lower impact when compared to feedlot finished beef, a well-managed pasture-based livestock system fix at a minimum of all the greenhouse gases they emit, even when taking into account all aspects of the production process. Pasture beef systems that use land management practices such as rotational grazing, where lands are allowed to properly recover after a grazing period, and cover crops are used around grazing, suggests that the amount of carbon sequestered in the soil may more than offset that of the ruminants. So this is really important. This is something that you want to share with your friends and family when they say, oh my gosh, you're eating low carb diet. Well, that's terrible for the planet. You say, no, look, I buy animal products from a local rancher who is using regenerative agricultural techniques. Now, so there's a lot to get into here because what happens is these ruminants are not eating things that are edible for humans. They're helping to break down the stalks of the corn and the soy and whatever aspects is inedible to humans. And in so doing, this helps with all sorts of nutrient cycling and acts as a carbon sink, which is really interesting and I think important for us to consider. Now, that being said, this was a really interesting study out of Australia. It's along the same lines. And this study looked at the carbon footprint of different dietary choices, whether it's plants, vegetables, fruits, and they highlighted a category known as discretionary foods, which, as you might imagine, discretionary foods are things that are not really dense in micronutrients or macronutrients outside of sugar, fat, and processed junk. It turns out that the foods that had the worst impact on the environment was not red meat. It was discretionary foods. The combination of grains, breads, sugar-sweetened beverages, sweets, baked goods, biscuits, and all of the things that we know to be unhealthy. And this ties into the other part of the conversation, and that is how being unhealthy contributes to not only it's bad for the environment because the single-use plastic of chips bags and bread bags and biscuit bags and, microwave, macaroni bags and things like that. But also the consumption of those foods make you more unhealthy and increase your reliance upon the healthcare system, which is a massive, at least here in the US, which is a massive contributor to greenhouse gases. I mean, and this is an article talking about how the healthcare system contributes in a terrible way to climate change. And this is well recognized. So this is one top headline here in the US, the healthcare system is responsible for 8.5% of the country's greenhouse gases, a share that has only increased in recent years because we're getting very, very unhealthy. There was another article here titled Confronting Healthcare's Carbon Footprint. Hospitals are waking up to the climate change culpability and the mandate to do something about it. And there was a Harvard professor that quoted in this article here featuring Mass General. This individual is a professor over at Harvard. Said, the best way to minimize for the healthcare system to minimize its carbon footprint is to create healthy people so they're not dependent upon it. And so we're going to continue to dive into this and address any questions that you do have. First, I just want to say thank you for being here. If you have any questions related to nutrition, health, fitness, supplements, whatever, please leave them in the chat. Again, your likes, your comments, your shares are much appreciated to help other people see this type of content. And now, admittedly, we get filtered on the different platforms for sharing this because the powers that be are making a lot of money with meat alternatives. This is no surprise. There's venture capitalists and private equity groups that are investing heavily in non-dairy, dairy-like alternatives, nut milks and other microbial fermentation products that don't include dairy, meat alternatives, and beyond. So there's huge money to be made here. And this idea of pushing people to eat more regenerative-based agriculture is not so popular, although it seems to be the most viable solution going forward. So again, if you're here right now, I would love to know where you're from. We have folks from Tampa, Maryland, Gabby from Miami. We have EA from Goodland, Kansas. We have Jimmy from New Zealand, which is awesome. Okay, Crash Bandit says, feedlot beef is higher in omega-6. Yeah, so the omega-6 to omega-3 status is going to be different based upon the, whether the animal is fed grazing on grass or feedlot, but it's not that much different. It's really the nutritional value. I don't think we can really make the argument that grass-fed is nutritionally better. I think it's better for the animals, and I think it's better for the planet than feedlot. But I will say anecdotally, sometimes when you compare a grass-fed steak or what have you to a feedlot steak, you can see it's a little bit more red. The grass-fed just looks a little bit cleaner, healthier. But I think, you're just supporting a local rancher. And this is what humans have done forever. Is either had a couple of cattle in their backyard or part of their community or bought from a local rancher. And this is, I think, just the path forward. So I think that's interesting. EA says, I buy my meat from White Oaks Pasture. Great. I've heard a lot of great things about them. Wolverine says, I will be a Texan soon. Will have my own cows. Wolverine, that's awesome. I was in Texas for the past week. Texas is amazing. The people there are so nice in comparison to out on the West Coast. I love the West Coast. I love the mountains. But everyone in Texas was, hi, sir. Hi, ma'am. Please, thank you. Really wonderful, nice people. We had a lot of great barbecue out there. If you missed it, my daughter competes nationally in track, and so we went out for nationals in College Station at Texas A&M. So that was a lot of fun. The USATF is a great, the USATF Junior Olympics, really well done, great event. If you have a young child and you want them to be healthier, get them into track. It's a phenomenal way. Great community, awesome people. Okay, so not a lot of questions, a lot of comments here. EA says, anyone know of a good metabolic testing company in the US? Yeah, so metabolic testing, we actually have a great podcast coming out that I think you'll really enjoy with a friend of mine. And we reviewed her labs and talked a lot about metabolic health. And that reminds me to just remind you that a natural tool that can help support your appetite and evening food cravings is berberine. Berberine is arguably one of the most effective natural products to support metabolic health. And since you asked about metabolic health testing, just want to let you know that you can save on the MyoSense Berberine Fasting Accelerator using the code podcast at checkout. Phenomenal tool, again, for supporting fasting as well as metabolic health. Okay. Crash Bandit says, have you ever talked to or have data on an interview with Ken Berry? Yes, we interviewed Ken back in 2018. I can link that if you would like a little bit later. It'll take me too long to get into that. But yeah, great conversation with Ken Berry. Okay. I started the carnivore diet at the beginning of July. I'm down 20 pounds. They can have their soy burgers and I will pass. Yeah. I think the carnivore diet can be really effective, especially short term, for weight loss, for improvement in body composition, as well as improving metabolic health. Okay, Usman says, been following you for years. You do an incredible job. Thank you for that. JM says, great content, spreading the message from Nanaimo. Wow, James, Nanaimo, that's an area that I want to get to. Live out in Seattle. Nanaimo, I've heard, is just amazing. Vancouver Island overall is just one of the most beautiful parts of North America, hands down. Okay, so again, the question about feedlot beef versus grass-fed pasture-raised and the omega-3 fat content, it's marginally a little bit different, but I just think the animals are generally healthier. And you're contributing to part of the solution, not part of the problem. Again, as this study that I mentioned really dove into, the aspect of the healthcare expenditures being part of the problem, and this study right here, again, carbon footprint and dietary choices, really found that the foods that are the worst for the planet are discretionary foods: chips, pasta, pizza, baked goods, grains, sugar-sweetened beverages, desserts, pastries. These foods have the biggest carbon footprint, and they also contribute to preventable diseases. And it turns out those preventable diseases cause you to have more reliance on the healthcare system. The healthcare system is a huge contributor to greenhouse gases and other problems, pollution, single-use plastic. You go to the doctor's office, they have gowns, they have gloves, they have face masks, they have all the stuff that they have to reuse every single time they see a patient. It's insane. All of the medical supplies and the distribution and logistics involved in treating people with preventable diseases contributes to a lot of waste. So why aren't we hearing more about that? And so as people have been commenting, you can see the comments, when people go on a low-carb diet, well, they lose 20 pounds. They lose 15, 30 pounds. They improve their blood sugar. They reduce their blood pressure. So they are unlikely to be dependent upon the U.S. healthcare system, which is incredibly wasteful and contributes far more to greenhouse gases emissions than just cattle, especially pasture-raised cattle, which, as we've been talking about, it turns out that pasture-raised cattle and consumption on beef actually helps reduce greenhouse gases, because cattle will help in the sequestering of carbon back into the soil, even more so than having meat alternative burgers and soy-based and canola-based burgers. So I think the solution is right in front of us. It's just we need to spread this message. We need to get people to wake up and realize that chips, pasta, Domino's pizza, sugar-sweetened beverages, soda, this is the problem, right? It's not only single-use plastic, increasing microplastic accumulation in the oceans that are problematic for sea life and beyond, but it's harmful for your health. And when you're unhealthy, you're a cog in the mainstream medicine world and wheel. And that, of course, is unequivocally linked with a huge carbon footprint. So I think we need to wake up. I think we need to wake other people up to the notion that the best thing that you can do for the planet is get healthy. And Sean Baker's been talking about this for a long time. And admittedly, I'm new to this research. I'm just blown away at the amount of greenhouse gas emissions and single-use plastic and waste that the healthcare system creates to manage people who have chronic diseases from food that is also unhealthy for the planet. And that's the thesis of this video, and that's the message that I want to share with you, to go back to your friends and family and your coworkers who are like, oh yeah, I'm going vegan because it's best for the planet. You're like, well, but you're still overweight. You still have high blood pressure. You still have insulin resistance, prediabetes, like autoimmunity. Why don't you eat it in such a way that not only reverses all those conditions, but is also better for the planet and reducing the carbon footprint? Because again, ruminants, pasture-raised animals, take carbon from the atmosphere, the so-called greenhouse gas emissions, sequester that back into the soil, which makes the soil healthier so that there's increased yields and a reduced dependence upon chemical fertilizers that in and of themselves have problems. So again, the solution is actually quite simple. It's just waking people up to this idea. And thankfully, we have a grassroots grassroots movement. We have people who get it. You go to towns like Austin, you go to parts of LA, Denver, Colorado, Boulder, other parts of the Southwest, Southeast. People get it. But it's just, we need to get this message out so people realize that, again, what's best for the planet is best for you as well. And that is getting people back to eating an omnivorous style diet that is congruent with human health. And again, I'll just share this study one more time. The foods that are worse, bad for your health and bad for the planet are discretionary foods. These are single-use plastic, the chips, the pizza, the cookies, the crackers, the soda. I don't care if it's diet soda or whatever. It's not good for your health. It's not good for the planet. So why are we picking on people for eating grass-fed meat? Why are vegans picketing outside of restaurants that sell regeneratively raised meat? When we know that it's a net negative, like it's better, it actually helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions, right? It's better for human health. It's insane to me that we're still having these arguments. So really great articles that I wanted to share with you today on this live. Really grateful that you're here. If you're still here, hit that like button. We're going to get to some questions momentarily. Just want to close out these tabs in this window and see if there's any final remaining questions. As I mentioned, it's been a while since we've done a live, only because my daughter's been busy with track in the postseason and I wanted to support her. So let me zoom in here to see more of these live questions. Okay, KJ says, what do you recommend for protein supplements? Yeah. I'm biased. You all know I have a supplement line. You can check out Myoscience. Here's the logo. Here's the website. What I supplement with, we have a grass-fed whey protein concentrate. It's really, really good. I mix that with some raw milk. This is arguably one of the best post-workout shakes you can have. The whey concentrates are better than the whey isolates because they have immunoglobulins, beta-lactoglobulin, things that are good for gut health and your immune system. So if you want a good protein supplement, I'm not a huge fan of whey isolates because they strip out all the beneficial immune and gut health promoting properties. The whey concentrates are going to have things like lactoferrin, beta-lactoglobulin, immunoglobulins that are good for gut health and your immune system. As you know, everyone's getting COVID right now. Everyone's getting sick. So you want, like, if you're going to pick between something, you might as well get the protein and the beneficial aspects of it. That's why a grass-fed whey concentrate, in my opinion, is the best. I think there's a lot of hype about these branched chain amino acids and perfect aminos and stuff. Look, if you're bedridden and you're stuck in bed and you can't move, there's decent research to suggest that supplementing with BCAAs in that context might help prevent muscle loss. But most people are getting enough amino acids, so this idea that, this amino acid combination that someone developed is better than whey protein or eggs or raw milk. Get out of here. I really don't buy that. Okay. So that's what I suggest. Sopranos Fan 11 says, Mike, do you think all these grass-fed beef is okay? I do. I think I've seen all these out east. I'm not familiar with that particular chain. We don't have it here in Washington, at least. But yeah, organic grass-fed, I think it's totally fine. Absolutely. And again, even if all you can afford is feedlot beef, it's way better than the alternative, which is what? Cereal, bread, microwave dinners. I mean, just a feedlot, Tyson ground beef is going to be way better than that. Okay. So that's my suggestion. All right. FMK says, Mike and everyone, so glad to catch this live. First time following since 2016. FMK. That's amazing. 8 years. Wow. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Okay. We have Boulder, Colorado, my old stomping grounds. I still have a 303 area code on my phone number. I lived off Monroe Drive, just off Colorado Boulevard in Foothills. I love Boulder. I wish I still lived there, pardon me, honestly. Although there's a lot of fires in Boulder now, and I've heard it's changed, but Boulder's a great city. Pranav says, what is the best diet to keep your heart pipes clean and prevent bypass open heart surgery? For vegetarians. Yeah, so for vegetarians, you can be vegetarian and still be healthy. You're going to have to spend more time soaking and sprouting your grains, your legumes. That's the thing. So it's doable. So the best diet is the best diet that's going to lower your blood pressure. We talked about that, how increased blood pressure and poor metabolic health and belly fat make LDL more likely to initiate the process of atherosclerosis, the clogging of your arteries and the progressive narrowing of your arteries. So, In my opinion, the best diet is going to be a lower carbohydrate diet paired with exercise and some sort of time restricted feeding. So eating between the hours of, say, 10 in the morning and 6 at night, something like that. Okay, what meat has mRNA in it? Yeah, Steve, great question. I mean, mRNAs are everywhere, messenger RNA. Now, are you asking about from a biotech standpoint, chemically altered? I have a great interview with a lady named Michaela at D&D Beef. Cows are not being vaccinated at large like what the media says and things like that. So I wouldn't worry about that. mRNA is going to be very unstable. And so if you cook your meat, if you're worried that whatever, you're going to be just fine. I wouldn't worry about that. Sopranos 11 had that same question. Yeah. So I know people are talking about this, that, they're vaccinating cattle with messenger RNA based vaccines. Personally, I'm not concerned about that. And that's why buy from a local rancher. Just Google in your area, grass-fed beef rancher. And sometimes you're driving out in the country and you see a sign. We sell 1.5 cows. Just call them up, save up, or look on Facebook Marketplace, get a coffin freezer, put it in your garage or your shed in the back and fill it up. Bone in is going to be the best. Okay, Brian Casimano says, currently suffering from a stomach bug flu. Any specific dietary recommendations? Fermented products and meat have helped slightly. Cool. Brian, sometimes when you're sick, honestly, fasting is the best thing that you can do, especially if it's a stomach bug. You could do bone broth, fasting, sauna. That's what I would suggest. But from a diet standpoint, just don't have any processed crap. That's what I would say. Aubrey says bone in. Yes. Comment or hit that like button if you too like bone in animal products. So really, really important. Be Good To Me says, I feel lighter and cleaner, definitely smaller, better, less fibroid activity with no meat. See, here's the beauty of it. Some people thrive on a vegan or vegetarian-based diet, and maybe they have, some fermented yogurt or some dairy. That's fine. Do what works for you. This is the thing. But most people, when they go on a vegan diet, they are consuming a lot of foods delivered in single-use plastic, microplastic, and we have to acknowledge that there is increased pesticide and herbicide, insecticide residues on a lot of plant-based food. So you just need to be more vigilant. You can still do it. You can do it, friends. I'm not anti-vegan or vegetarian diets, but I think most people just don't have enough whole foods. They're just having a lot of processed foods, and that's part of the problem. Now, as you've heard me say many times, a vegan vegetarian diet is going to be way better than the standard American diet, right? Way better. But you still want to be getting whole foods, So if the question is, should we have rice and beans for dinner or a microwaved fake chicken nuggets, it's going to be rice and beans all day long. So as long as you're eating whole real foods, that's what we want to focus on. Okay. Activated charcoal for a stomach bug. Thank you for that comment. That could be good. Second Street Marvel. Amazing. Second Street Marvel has been a subscriber for probably since the inception of this channel and is one of the first to always comment. He's part of the notification gang. So Second Street Marvel says, Mike, a while back you mentioned that those of us who are older shouldn't have a protein shake before bed. How soon before bed? I try not to eat 3 hours before bed. Okay. Should have a protein shake. Yeah. So again, this depends on training volume and activity. If you're sedentary and all you do is walk and you have a desk job, you don't need a protein shake before bed. But if you're physically active, trying to build muscle, sure, have a protein shake. It's all good. So that's the thing. So if you're getting into working out, especially when you're new to exercise, you actually need more protein than if you've been exercising for a while. So that's the thing to consider is, the fact that how long you've been exercising will impact your protein needs. And when you're new to exercise, you need more protein. Plus, that'll help prevent you from being sore. So, friends, are you enjoying this content? Hit that like button if you are. I very much appreciate you being here. Again, if you have a friend that may benefit from this video, please share this with them. That really, really helps. Okay. Matthias says, what vegetables are you eating? Yeah, great question. Mostly fermented vegetables. So kimchi, sauerkraut, things that grow in the garden, potatoes, cilantro. That's what we eat a lot of. Carrots. So that's what I would suggest. That's what I also love olives. I have olives all the time. I think olives are amazing. Okay. Is it okay to consume organic chicken thighs with bone and skin from Whole Foods? Yeah, just as long as it's not from the hot bar where it's sitting there under a infrared light and you have plastic being heated. That's not what you want. I think you know that. But yeah, just go to Whole Foods, mix up, slow cook some chicken with bone in. I think that's fine. No problem. Aubrey says she loves cucumbers. Amazing. So eat what you like to eat as long as it's not a junk food. That's the thing. FMK says vegan or omnivore or carnivore. Let's just all avoid glyphosate. 100%. Do I put butter on my potatoes? Yeah. Come on now. Butter is like a staple around these parts, and it should be for you. Butter has been a staple in the human diet for a very, 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 very long time. Far longer than the margarine and all these, Crisco and stuff. Butter and lard was what we used and what even raccoon fat, used to be used as a fat. So yeah, all of that is all good. Okay, trying to reduce plastics and toxins from detergents and cleansers. Yeah, so your personal care products, clean products, you gotta step it up, guys. All of you, I think you know that. So, yeah, how was this? Again, hit that like button if you're here. Appreciate you all being here. We're back to Tuesday evenings. Hopefully, you got some value out of this conversation, and looking forward to connecting with you with great videos down the road. Appreciate your comments, your likes, your shares. Do I eat pork? Not so much. It's just a personal thing. I don't really like the taste of pork. I have raised pigs before. We've processed them ourselves. I think pigs can be part of a regenerative agricultural system, but I'm just not a pig fan. That's just my personal thing. Is grass-fed Kerrygold and butter an okay brand? Yeah, they're huge. Their distribution is everywhere. They're out of Ireland, as many of you know. Probably good. I've been dabbling with more local butters and churned butters at this market that I go to. That's just my preference. I think eating closer to home. Kerrygold's great. It's imported from Ireland. If you don't live in Ireland or the UK, maybe find something that's made locally. That's just my 2 cents. It tastes better. It's more fresh. That's just what I think. Very much appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks for liking this. Thanks for your comments. We'll catch you on a future video down the road. See you next week. Bye now.